This is where it changes.
You have a rest, you stand. We don't need a rest. We'll keep going.
Oleksandr Usyk returns for another showdown, but this time it's different. He faces kickboxing champion Rico Verhoeven in a high-stakes clash of styles and dominance.
Opponents.
Because as a fighter, it's world champion in kickboxing. Listen, all people who training more 5-10 years and who have belt.
Usyk says his preparation remains unchanged as he continues training intensely for every opponent. Facing Rico Verhoeven is no different, as Usyk maintains the same disciplined mindset, consistency, and relentless work ethic throughout.
Was there anything different that you did in camp to prepare for this fight than you have for normal boxing opponents?
No, my prepare not change. We do it the same work, but sometimes we change sparring partner. But we not drink, we not smoke, we rest, we boxing. Yeah, it's a normal because it's a boxing fight. Yeah. We look for guys who same do it work like Rico, but my prepare not change. My prepare hard, but listen, I told like this. Today evening, my second training, yeah, it's a hard.
Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven come face to face as tensions continue to rise, with both champions preparing for a rare and explosive showdown.
He's just seen it all, and I just don't think Rico will present anything different. I heard him up there, he said, well, he's coming from a kickboxing background, so his techniques and angles will be different. I just don't see, if anything, I believe they will be different to a fault of his. I don't think his angles and things like that are as elite as boxers.
What Malik's saying's right. But the only thing, when he says I'm coming from kickboxing angles, believe you me, he's seen that. Because we've all tried different things. I tried things, Fury tried things, Joshua tried things, Dubois tried things, Chisora tried things. Everybody has tried a different approach, and he figures all of us out every single time. And although Rico maybe is slightly different.
As Rico Verhoeven transitions into boxing, he says boxing fighters are built differently from kickboxers and acknowledges the challenge ahead.
Definitely, because I think if you look at boxing and how boxing fighters are built, it's different. Within kickboxing, you get challenges. Like sometimes you just try something and sometimes you succeed and sometimes you do not. So earlier in my career, I lost some fights. And was that bad? I don't think so, because I think from the fights that I lost, I learned even more. So what you have in boxing, you have like amateur fights and you have professional fights. And you don't have that in kickboxing. You just like have a record. You have this many fights, and that's what it is.
He also says he is very happy about this opportunity and is fully focused on proving himself in a new sport.
Oleksandr Usyk is giving me, like he said, he's doing something that he wants to do now. And he was open to the fight. He was excited about the fight because it's something new, it's something different. We're bringing new eyeballs to combat sports in general. We're colliding two worlds together, kickboxing and boxing.
Rico Verhoeven is training intensely, pushing his limits every day as he prepares for the upcoming challenge.
Monday morning training. Oh, it's one hell of a start of the week. Doesn't matter how fit I get or I am, this is just horrible. And we've been doing this for years.
Oleksandr Usyk is training with incredible discipline, showing sharp speed and elite movement throughout his camp.
This is extra.
Oleksandr Usyk continues to train at a high level, staying focused and sharp as he prepares for the major showdown ahead.
One. Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, 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 ba.
He is not only training seriously, but also enjoying the process, staying relaxed and confident throughout his training camp. Rico Verhoeven has shared how the unexpected matchup between Oleksandr Usyk and himself was influenced by Hollywood actor Jason Statham, who helped bridge conversations behind the scenes. The long-reigning Glory heavyweight champion explained that Statham, a close friend of both Verhoeven and Saudi boxing figure Turki Al-Sheikh, played a quiet but important role in connecting the right people. What initially began as casual discussions gradually developed into serious negotiations once that introduction was made. Verhoeven said the idea of a crossover bout had been circulating for some time, but it lacked a clear pathway until those personal relationships aligned, supported by Statham's enthusiasm for combat sports and his access to influential figures.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Jason is a good friend of mine, and yeah, we were talking while he was in Vegas for the Canelo Crawford fight. So, oh my God, you're there. This is gonna be a crazy fight. It's so anticipating, you know. They were talking about it, and yeah, like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And he said, like, you should do something here. You should do something with this whole boxing. You're gonna do really good within boxing. So yeah, I think so. She said, you know what? I'll put your name out there. Thank you, appreciate that. So that was Saturday night, Amsterdam time.
Okay.
So it was.
From there, discussions between both camps slowly intensified, eventually leading to an agreement in principle for a major boxing showdown. The Dutch champion, Rico Verhoeven, described the process as unusual yet exciting, explaining how modern fight-making can now develop through unexpected connections, rather than traditional ranking systems alone. He credited a shared entertainment vision and strong personal trust as key reasons the fight was able to come together. Now the focus shifts toward preparation, as Verhoeven steps into elite-level boxing, while Oleksandr Usyk enters the event with championship pedigree and world-class experience on one of the biggest global stages imaginable.
I was on the treadmill.
5K, 10K.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I'd be like 5K, like
Exactly, like having fun, just running. Jason called me, like, yo, bro, how was the fight? I said, I'm on the treadmill, but yo, listen up. I put your name out there, and they love it. I showed some videos. They want to get in contact with you, so I gave them your contact, and like, I jumped off the treadmill. I was like, what? I said, yeah, man, it's gonna happen. Okay.
Jason, thank you.
Ade Oladipo comments on the recent announcement describing an icon versus icon matchup between stars from different combat sports. He compares the crossover attention surrounding Francis Ngannou stepping into boxing against Tyson Fury, explaining how the UFC's massive global reach made Ngannou instantly recognizable to mainstream audiences. In comparison, Rico Verhoeven, despite being a dominant Glory kickboxing champion with an elite record, is still far less known among wider boxing fans. Oladipo suggests the matchup is being promoted as a battle between two of the greatest athletes in their respective sports, even though the contest taking place in a boxing ring could stylistically favor Fury. He also questions the involvement and motivation of Turki Alishik in approving the event, hinting at strategic matchmaking and large-scale promotion behind the scenes. Overall, he views the fight as a fascinating but uneven crossover spectacle that has sparked major debate among fans, while highlighting the differences between the boxing and kickboxing worlds. In the end, he believes the event demonstrates how crossover fights are heavily driven by narrative, promotion, and star power.
Is ultimately so much bigger than Glory. That's where Rico used to fight Glory kickboxing. Like, it's known in Europe, Glory. So many fighters have come from there. Alistair Overeem's come from, like, so many fighters have come from Glory, but the UFC was known, so we all knew who Francis Ngannou was. So that's why that didn't appear too bad. It was like, who's the baddest man on the planet? Is it Fury? Is it Ngannou? This doesn't quite have that same ring to it. So I do wonder what's the association with Rico. What's Turkey's, like, because ultimately it's Turkey that kind of signs this off, right? Is there a history there between the two? Did he like watching Rico growing up? It's interesting to know where Rico's just come from. But yeah, look, he's 36. I think he's got something like 10 defeats, which might sound a lot, but it's not a lot in kickboxing, trust me, and something like 76 wins. He is one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. So maybe they are building it as, again, icon versus icon, one of the greatest boxers of all time versus one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. The only problem for Rico is that this is happening in...
Rico Verhoeven explains that after spending many years in kickboxing and accomplishing everything possible in the sport, he now feels ready for a new challenge in boxing. He believes he has nothing left to prove in kickboxing and sees boxing as the next natural step in his combat sports career. Despite moving into a completely different discipline, Rico expresses total confidence that he can defeat Oleksandr Usyk even under pure boxing rules inside the ring. He insists that he brings something different to the table, including kickboxing movement, timing, and striking angles that traditional boxers are not accustomed to dealing with. Rico also points out that boxers rarely transition into kickboxing or MMA because they are unprepared for elements such as leg kicks, which create a completely different rhythm and physical impact. In contrast, he believes kickboxers are naturally more experienced at adapting across multiple striking ranges. He even suggests that if Usyk were to compete in kickboxing, the fight would heavily favor him. At the same time, Rico acknowledges that boxing is Usyk's territory and understands the difficulty of the challenge, while still remaining fully confident in his ability to disrupt the Ukrainian champion's rhythm and style inside the ring.
Something totally different. Right. When they, for example, get kicked to the leg, the body gets into shock because they never experienced that before.
Yeah,
and we're used to that kind of
if Usyk came into your area, kickboxing, as you said moments ago, you would destroy him?
Yeah. Because
but you feel comfortable going into his territory and getting the gloves on. Can you possibly think of destroying him?
100%, of course. Yeah, of course, I totally understand.
No one's come close, Rico.
I know. So what an opportunity I have, because what do I bring different to the table is I'm coming with kickboxing angles. And he's so used to, he's been dissecting the boxing game since I don't know what age he started. But that's how he does it. But the kickboxing game and the kickboxing...
He emphasizes that Oleksandr Usyk has spent his entire life mastering and refining the art of boxing, while he plans to surprise him with unconventional striking patterns that are rarely seen in traditional boxing. When questioned about his confidence, Rico Verhoeven repeatedly answers 100%, making it clear that he truly believes he can pull off the upset. The discussion also expands into broader conversations surrounding the event, including promotional involvement from Turkey Usyk and various behind-the-scenes industry talks. There's even mention of a conversation involving Jason Statham, adding even more celebrity attention to the fight. Overall, Rico presents himself as a dominant kickboxer determined to find out whether his style can successfully translate into boxing at the highest possible level.
Maybe the way you're speaking this morning, maybe you're winning a few new fans out there. Not that you need them, Rico. The other side of this break, I want to find out from you how you're going to topple Oleksandr Usyk. If you're watching, then you'll see this huge mountain of a man in studio with Simon and myself. 6'5" Rico Verhoeven, the next opponent of Oleksandr Usyk. But there's a bit of a twist in this one, because this fella's renowned as a kickboxing champion, and now he's going to adapt to the boxing discipline and take on the very best in Oleksandr Usyk. But it's so fascinating talking to you in the commercial break there, and the absolute confidence you have in yourself that you're going to beat Usyk. I'm going to get to that in a second. Tell me more about Jason Statham and a conversation with Turkey Usyk. What happened with all this?
Yeah, so Jason is a good friend of mine. He also came to my kickboxing fight.
On the Ariel Helwani show, Pete Carroll and the team reacted to the breaking news that Oleksandr Usyk will face Rico Verhoeven for the World Boxing Council heavyweight title in May. With the fight scheduled to take place at the Pyramids of Giza, the announcement instantly sparked disbelief and excitement across the panel, who described it as one of the most unusual crossover matchups ever proposed in combat sports. The discussion centered on how surreal the bout feels, with Pete Carroll emphasizing the massive spectacle of staging a world title fight at such a historic and iconic location. The conversation also explored how modern boxing is becoming increasingly driven by global entertainment value, where venues and storylines can sometimes matter just as much as rankings or mandatory challengers. Much of the reaction focused on Rico Verhoeven's transition from kickboxing into boxing at the highest level possible, and whether his experience can truly translate against an elite boxer like Usyk. Overall, the panel framed the announcement as a combination of shock, fascination, and curiosity about how competitive the fight could realistically be once both men finally step into the ring.
That's wild, man. But dude, given like now what you saw what Rico's into, like, I mean, completely smart for him not to go to the UFC. Why would he?
Yeah,
again?
I always didn't think that
Again.
was an option. I
Yeah.
really never thought that was a real thing. If boxing was an option for him and a name like that is an option for him, I just didn't see how UFC could compete on that level. Obviously we're hearing this Conor Ben stuff, but we know Sella is paying for that now. It is quite a, like, to your point, Chuck, this feels like a Netflix event. It feels like two worlds colliding. It feels like a spectacle more than a title fight. Like, am I crazy? Like, I'm a huge Rico fan, but I'm not giving him a hope in hell against Usyk.
The panel debated whether his size, discipline, and elite striking background could truly carry over against someone as technically polished as Oleksandr Usyk. While some admitted that Rico Verhoeven's athleticism and years of experience make him a dangerous wildcard, there was still a strong belief that Usyk's boxing IQ, movement, and ring control create an entirely different level of challenge. The discussion also included plenty of humor, with jokes about behind-the-scenes promotional meetings and how combat sports have increasingly shifted towards spectacle-driven matchups. The idea of hosting the fight at the Pyramids of Giza was described as almost cinematic, adding to the feeling that this is just as much a global event as it is a sporting contest. Overall, the reaction on the Ariel Helwani show reflected a mix of shock, fascination, and skepticism, recognizing the historic scale of the announcement while still questioning how competitive a boxing match between Usyk and Verhoeven would realistically be inside the ring.
Longer in the tooth, maybe kind of looking at the looking at the horizon, ready to kind of get out. You never know, but I agree with you. If he looks anything like the Usyk we've been watching for the last bunch of years, it shouldn't be competitive. But again, these types of things, and this is the event with a capital E thing that Ben was talking about. Like, it doesn't really matter about the the imagination is now the thing that we're trying to work with, right? Like, it's all about, like, let's do something crazy and draw a bunch of people to look at it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And, it kind of works. I know I'm not saying anything that nobody has meant.
That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and we'll catch you in the next one.